Welcome back to another episode of Wild Side Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, the King of the Jungle, Austin Payne. For the 20th episode of the Women's Showcase, I have Big Al, Alice Crowley. How we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. So I always just love to start. Just tell me your story. How did wrestling come into your life? Um, where did your wrestling journey began?
Well, I started wrestling when I was 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
The WCWO uh, Wild Championship Wrestling Outlaws is what the company is called. That's where I first started at. I started going there when I was like 13, 12, 13, and I was just watching the shows. And eventually I was like, I want to do this. I don't want to sit here and just watch the shit. So I eventually asked if I could train because one of my cousins had a friend that wrestled there. And so we asked him, and he told me, who to talk to. And so I asked, and then they just let me come in, and I actually started training there for free. I trained there for about a year, and then I moved to another company called All Star Pro Wrestling in Shelbyville, Indiana. That company does not run anymore, but I was there for about 2 years. It was really just me and like two or three other people training, so I really got one-on-one training for um, a whole year before I started having matches, and I still trained off and on. Um, with a bunch of other people in the Indianapolis area, moved
Mhm.
down to the Grindhouse area in Louisville. Well, not Louisville, it's Jeffersonville, but next to Louisville. But yeah, I was training there for a while. But yeah, I was training for a long time under a bunch of different people when I first started. But yeah, now I've been doing it for 9 years.
Wow.
Been quite a while.
I love that. Love that. Um, So, in a sort of fantasy booking situation, say you were to build yourself a faction around you, you and three other people, who do you think you would add to that faction?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, Now, is this anyone? Or
Yeah,
is it like people that are specifically signed or like independence people or just anyone in general?
we could do like one TV person, then two indie people, maybe one of the opposite gender, and then maybe a friend of yours or someone close to you.
Well, Haley, always Haley J.
Okay.
Um, Someone signed. That's a good one. We're gonna come back to that one. Um, and then someone of the opposite sex. Carrie Morton.
Okay.
Um, who else now with those two? Someone signed. Who would match that? Who do
Yeah.
I like that would match that? uh, I don't know. Maybe like Chelsea Green or someone like that.
Okay.
Like some complete oddball,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Um, Continuing on that there, say they made the Big Al book. If you had any wrestler of all time narrate your audiobook, who would you want that done by?
You said it. What was the question?
Who would narrate the Alice Crowley book?
If I had a narrator, Gregory Iron.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a good storyteller. He's a
I
real
love
good storyteller.
I
If
love
anyone
that.
would be able to tell my story right, it would be him.
Okay. So they say the best wrestling character is yourself amped up to 1,000. With that being out there, how do you find is the best way for you to balance between your public persona and your private life?
There is no balance. It's literally just me. I am myself in the ring and outside the ring. There's really no difference. Um, I am nice to people when I come across them, but
Mhm.
I am a blunt person, and I still am the way I am when I wrestle in person.
Yeah, I got you. Hey, you do what you got to do, right?
Yeah,
Love it.
for sure.
So being that the wrestling business is ever changing and always will be, um, as the landscape is right now, if you could change one thing to either improve or do something different, what would you do?
Well, I would say the people with less experience probably, treat them like they've got less experience and, help them in the areas that they need help in instead of, throwing them out there for the wolves. But other than that, I can't really say anything, at least with the places that I work at, because I choose my environment, that I,
Mhm.
I work in. So, but yeah,
Yeah, recently been back with JCW
yes,
frequently. Yeah,
yes, I love it there.
how's that going?
It's good. I like working with the Juggalos. They're a lot of fun. They're always so nice. I don't like, I'll just pull up at the show. Someone will, hand me a joint or, you know, give me a bottle of Fago or offer me a hot dog boiled in Fago.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, I mean, I stay fed and they give me weed, so I can't complain.
love that. Now all you need is that title back, right?
Right. That's the most important part.
Represent the company.
Yes.
Uh, so let's say when faced with injury, how do you handle it, and what's your recovery process look like?
Well, I whenever I got injured, I really just took it as like let me focus on myself and do the things that I need to do to make sure I'm, at 100% by the time I come back. And I also took the time to, take care of my mental health because that's sometimes it gets neglected when you're constantly working and constantly, in this, you kind of disregard your own needs and you're more focused on what do I need to do rather
Mhm.
than how am I,
Yeah.
so it was kind of like a blessing in disguise whenever I got injured because I was able to like take a step back and really, you know, focus on what I needed.
hmm
So,
Yeah, I got you. And it's like people get so like beelined on wanting to come back, but they don't focus on like the bigger picture, which is themselves, you know.
right, right.
And then a lot of times that ends up not the best.
Yeah.
So being that wrestling's basically a daily career, how uh how does that affect you both mentally and physically every single day as you train?
Well, physically it's exhausting, especially when you're like traveling in a vehicle for 20 hours, like one way. It's like it gets really exhausting, but um and then having to wrestle and then having to travel to the next show and then sleeping 2 hours and then, waking up and then doing it all over again and it's just it gets to be a lot on the body,
hmm
but and the mind, especially if you're not getting any sleep. But, that's why I like to take my time throughout the week. I make sure I get a full night's rest every single night throughout the week because weekends usually I'm not getting much, if anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is a toll on the body for sure, I will say. I
Mhm.
I I mean, I'm 23 and you think I'd be able to take a lot more than what I do. And I'm like, fuck, this is a lot. Like having
Yeah.
to travel in the van. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. I'm still getting paid. I'm getting exposure, so can't really complain that much. It's
Mhm.
like there's a trade-off there, so
Absolutely. And you're one of the taller female wrestlers on the scene, right?
usually, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
About 5'8", 5'9", in between
you
there.
see
Five
that
nine.
as
I
an
think
advantage sometimes?
you said what?
You see that as an advantage sometimes or no?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, until they start coming off the top rope and flying at me, then I'm like, damn.
You're like, well,
But
great.
literally,
Yeah. And you just had a Japan tour recently, right?
yes, I did. I did.
Yeah.
That
How
was a
was
fun
that?
time.
That was your first time there?
Yes, it was. I was there for 10 days. Um, it was very different than the States. Very, very clean. Everybody's very, very nice. Um, there's not
Imagine.
really like homeless people or like, I mean, not in the areas that I was in at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they take care of their town there, and they took care of me too. They did me so well. They put me up in a nice hotel and made sure I was fed. I was able to go to training with them and talk to them and figure out what I was doing, and it was a lot of fun. They were very, very welcoming, I will say.
I
They're
got
very,
you.
very welcoming.
Love to hear that. Yeah, I've always heard that the scene there is fantastic.
Yeah,
Not just in the wrestling scene, but like their whole culture and environment.
yeah,
They're definitely on my list of places to go.
for sure.
So, wrestling takes up so much of your time and life. Obviously, for the past 9 years. What's a few other things you're really passionate about outside of wrestling?
Well, when I first started wrestling, I ran cross country and track, and I was really passionate about that. I mean, I don't really run cross country or track anymore because I'm not in school,
You're
but
running ropes.
being active, yes, I do that. No, but being active has always been like a part of my life. If I'm not doing anything, I feel like I'm, not getting any further. I'm not helping myself get any further in my career. So it's like, I I don't know. I start to make myself feel bad if I'm not doing the things I need to do. So I guess that's a good trait to have because I'm always, on my shit doing what I need to do.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, one of my main things is just staying active. That's yeah, I just like to fucking run around and do a bunch of shit, staying active, and then I like to be creative too. I like to draw and paint and do all that stuff. I'm an artiste, I will say. Um, yeah, probably one of the best ones.
love that.
Yeah, I
Love
paint
that.
my hats, my jackets, all that stuff. I paint all of it by hand.
Yeah, I was gonna ask it. I was like, "That's all you?"
Yep.
Love
Yep.
that. Saves money on gear making, right?
Well, at least on those two things, yeah.
Yeah,
I can't make the gear. I tried to figure that out, but sewing is a completely different ballfield. Completely different.
you're telling me. Uh, so, looking back on your life, what's a specific moment that felt small at the time, but ended up shaping who you are today?
There was one time my trainer, he was yelling. Well, he was being his normal self. His name is Tom Van Zant, um, and he had this caramel apple sucker. Like the apple ones covered in actual caramel,
Yeah,
and he was sucking on it so hard, fucking smacking his lips, being loud. And I'm like, it was just driving me insane. Literally insane. One of my number one pet peeves is mouth noises or like people eating and chewing and stuff. I
mhm,
cannot do it. I can't do it. Close your mouth. Close your mouth. Nobody wants to hear or see that. But no, he was going to town on this sucker, and I lost it. I was like, and I just grabbed it from his hand and I went to throw it and I stopped because I was like, I'm not gonna throw a sucker. That's mean. You know what I mean? And he looked at me and he was like, throw it. And he made me throw the sucker. So I threw the sucker and he was like, that's what wrestling's all about. That's what you need to do. You need to get that mad. And told me, that's the attitude I need to have in the ring because I was having a really, really hard time coming out of my shell, even just selling. Like I wouldn't even make sounds when I was selling. I was quiet the entire
yeah,
time in the ring, almost like I wore a mask, but I wasn't wearing a mask. So it was like something needed to change, and he realized that, and then he was finding little things that I was doing in my real life that would help me bring out my character in wrestling. And that was one of the things. And that's just something that's always stayed with me. I always remember about to throw his sucker and I stopped myself and he was like, no, throw it. And I was like, ah. And then, yeah, he was like, you're such, was telling me I was mean for it, but, told me why he wanted me to actually throw it. And, it makes sense now to me. All of it clicks now, but at the time, you know, it it was like, what do you mean? But no, I get it now. Now, just took me a
yeah.
little while.
You got to take you to your breaking point sometimes, you know.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Um, so with that, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? And do you think you would have listened to yourself?
I would tell myself probably to be more confident in what I'm doing because I do know what I'm doing, and a lot of people used to make me try to think that I didn't know what I was doing just because I was so young in the business.
Hmm.
But it doesn't, one thing that I've learned is it does not matter the age because everybody has different times that they started. Everybody has different trainers, everybody has different knowledge, everything is different for everybody. So who is somebody who, is 45 who just started last year telling me that I'm wrong when it comes to certain things when, I've been around for this long time and people just didn't want to listen to me because of my age. That,
Yeah.
like, genuinely, that is one thing that I've always struggled with. People just think I'm wrong and don't know what I'm talking about because of how young I am and because of how young I was when I first started. And I'm 18, but I'm 4 years in. Not saying that that's a vet or anything, but I know, I've had at least eight. At that point, I had at least 8 trainers that I had gone through.
Right.
So for, people to sit there and, make me feel less than or to tell me that I don't know what I'm doing is, not necessarily the way to go about it.
Hmm.
Should have been more constructive criticism rather than I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm green and, a kid. But like, I've been doing this shit since I was a kid. I've been watching it since I was a kid. It's all I've ever known, So it's like,
Right.
who are you? Who'd you ever
Yeah.
be?
Slid a check under the door. That's what they did.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, but I completely get that, and you still see it today, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Here and there. Yes.
You'll get your old heads here and there, but it's whatever. You know yourself best, right?
Yep. Facts.
So let's say you could step into the life of any fictional character for 1 week. Who would it be? And knowing what you know about that character, do you think you'd be able to survive 1 week?
That's a unique question. Um, well, it would be some sort of superhero of some sort, but I'm just trying to think of what power I would want. I don't know, maybe like someone from like the Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe like Gamora or something. I
Okay.
love those movies. Those ones are
Yeah.
good ones. Or like literally any Marvel movie. I'm a Marvel girl. I like those. Those ones are my favorite. Or like um Scarlet Witch, yeah. Maybe like her, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would totally be able to survive. I would totally
I
be
mean,
able
if
to.
you're something with that capacity, you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
that's great. And then the follow up, being that you took a step on the wild side, we focus all about everything wild and animals here. Me being the king of the jungle, obviously, I'm welcoming you into the animal kingdom. If you were to choose any animal to represent you in the animal kingdom, what would that be and why?
Cat.
Okay.
Now what kind? It could be any kind of cat. Like a tiger, a puma, something like that. Cheetah, something.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, I don't know, because I feel like I just match a cat so well. Like more like an indoor or an outdoor house cat like type thing,
Hmm.
normal cat. But yeah, just because they're like full of attitude, that's me, you know. So yeah, I'd probably choose a cat of some sort. Now, if I was in the actual wild, probably a puma or something like that that can like, you know, defend itself. But
And hold your own. I
yeah.
got you. Yeah. Uh, so a little on the mental health side of things. Let's say you had to spend an entire year completely off grid, or not had to, you chose to. No phone, no internet, no outside connections. What are you doing with your time, and how do you think that changed you as a
Oh, I
person?
would be drawing. I'd be sitting there drawing and painting and shit, just making shit, because I wouldn't be able to. I need to get my creative outlet somewhere. You know what I mean? And that's what I always did when I was a kid. So I'm sure that would come back.
Yeah,
Um, Probably play some video games or something too. But yeah, if I was locked in. I'm never home. I am never home. So being locked in, that would take a toll on me for sure. For
like
sure.
I need to do something.
Yes, that's me. I'm like, I need to get out of here. I can't stay in here.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I got you. Um, so let's say outside of wrestling, everybody's got a bucket list. What are a few things you've always wanted to do that you haven't yet?
Skydive. I would love to skydive.
Okay,
Yeah, probably that. Bungee jumping. Um, like crazy things like that. Yeah.
I got you. Like big old daredevil type stuff, huh?
Yeah. Yes, I would totally do that.
Gotcha. I'm gonna do a quick transition here. This segment I created just for our women showcase, just for the women of the podcast. I call Pretty Dangerous. Um, so it's basically where I have you reclaim your concept of femininity within wrestling. Maybe tell a story that proves that being pretty doesn't necessarily mean being weak. Uh, it could have been like a harder match type you were a part of. It could have been a difficult promo you had to cut. Um,
Well, I mean, I would say in general, I like with my gear,
mhm,
I wear pants anyway, so it's like that's not necessarily feminine in the least bit, but I I do it because I want to be viewed as a wrestler, I
yeah,
don't want people to be staring at me. So I choose to wear pants. Now, I wrestled John Wayne Murdoch one time, and I will say he beat the crap out of me. Like we actually went toe to toe, and it was a good match. I had so much fun in that match, and I actually ended up getting a standing ovation at the end of the match.
wow,
So I would say that's a pretty good example, because girl going up against a guy, like obviously everyone knows, especially being John Wayne, they all knew I was gonna lose. Everyone in the building knew I was gonna lose. So it wasn't a question whether or not, like, if she's gonna, win. It was more of, can she take it, And
yeah,
I fucking, by the end of the match, I got back up, and I wasn't hurt or nothing. And, I mean, so the crowd had, I'd been around that crowd for a long time, and it was probably one of the most brutal matches they had seen me go through. And I think I really gained their respect. And so they, gave me that standing ovation, and it was really, really heartfelt. I was like, I earned that shit, I earned that
yeah,
shit. So yeah, I was very proud of myself in that moment.
yeah. Because it's in intergender wrestling specifically, the woman is either viewed as like Superwoman or a damsel in distress. Like
Yes.
there's never any balance. I've
Yep.
recently discovered that thankfully now you're viewed as wrestlers, instead of
Yes.
just an attraction.
Yeah. Right.
But it's and that's the whole reason we started this women's showcase too, because we're huge advocates. Because it's like you're here grinding out, you're doing the same exact stuff as the men are. Like, give y'all a platform.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Of course, and that's why I like all the like all women's promotions that they're popping up, like the
Hmm.
Uprising from Dreamwave, all the Shine in Florida sort of
I've been
situations.
doing that Divine too in Michigan. Divine
Mhm.
is one.
And then this next one here, kind of a little opinionated game. Uh, it's like an agree or disagree situation, except
Cool.
with wrestling terms. It'll be flip if you agree, skip if you disagree, and bump if you're neutral on it. And just a small reason why. So, a wrestler's entrance is more important than their in ring ability.
What are the three options?
Flip is agree, skip is disagree, and bump is neutral.
And then what was the statement again?
Uh, wrestlers' entrance and their music is more important than their in-ring ability.
Oh, that's it. I'm gonna have to say bump.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can't really agree with that or disagree because I would say that is more important. Like your entrance is more important. Like time for them to figure out whether you're a baby face or a heel or not.
Hmm.
But your in-ring ability, like you have to be able to, keep up in the ring, and if you can't, then like. But I do think they are both equally important, but I don't know which one is more important, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm gonna say neutral.
Yeah, I got you. Uh, intergender matches should be more respected on every card, rather
In
than
what way?
being like, "Ooh, it's an intergender match. You get a woman versus a man sort of situation," like we were talking about.
I'm gonna say, do I agree with it? So that would be skip. No. So I don't
Okay.
agree with that. I think they should label it as an intergender, only because um, it is something different, and a lot of places don't do it. Now, if it's a company like IWA, when I used to work there, it didn't make sense for them to, say it's an intergender thing. Like CZW, I feel like it wouldn't make sense there. Like it depends on the company,
Yeah.
but for the most part, like if they do it at WWE or AEW or something, I would say they should probably label it as an intergender match, or at least maybe not an intergender, but I don't know, like a gender fluid match where there's, at least two different, people on each team, if
Yeah.
it's like a tag or whatever. So I would say they should, but it just depends on the company too and like the environment. Like JCW, I feel like it wouldn't matter if they called it an intergender match or not. Like it would be fine if a guy and a girl went against each other and they just called it a match. But
Yeah.
yeah, like WWE, I feel like since they don't do that, they should. You know what I mean? Label it as that. It
Right.
just depends on the company.
Yeah, I got you. Uh, in today's wrestling scenes, managers are underutilized.
Uh, what would that be? If I agree.
Flip.
Flip. Yes. Flip. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Because you can use managers for so many different things that people just don't realize. Same thing with referees. This does not just go for managers, it goes for referees too. Like a lot of people do not utilize the people that they have out there. Because especially if you're a heel, you would be wanting to utilize every single thing that you've got out there. At least if you're, a shit heel or a cocky heel or, you know, a grimy heel trying to like just get one by, you know what I mean? Now, if
Right.
you're a badass, but you're a heel and that's not necessarily your thing, then like, okay. But no, I feel like if you cheat as a heel, normally you should get someone involved, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Like, look at WrestleMania main event last year with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman.
mm-hmm.
Nobody ever saw that coming.
No. And that's what adds to it. It's like little tiny things will add to it instead of um it just kind of falling flat sometimes those things will fall flat, like your matches will fall flat or the endings will fall flat because you don't have anything interesting or unique, or it's a finish that they've seen before. So it's like you got to keep racking your brain and keep thinking of things that you can do that's different, that people haven't seen before, because they're everything's been done in wrestling. Everything's been
Yeah.
done. So, it's hard to find those things. But when you come up with them, that's when it really means something.
Right. And it's even better because now you have like another mind to go off of instead
Yes.
of trying to do things all by yourself, which a
Yes.
lot of people are brilliant and they can, but
Yeah.
uh, wrestlers who break the character online hurt their mystique.
to say flip because I think everybody should constantly be in character if they have an online presence because usually that's why they're following you because they're following that person that they think that they see on TV. So
Hmm.
if you change who you are online or like I'm even saying like when I say this, like, I think it's okay if you do like behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah.
like you going to your shows or like the car ride there or like, like vlogs or whatever. Like, I think that stuff is acceptable. But what I'm saying is like your political views. Nobody wants to hear about that.
Yeah.
Things like that, um, just I say keep that stuff off because we aren't the ones who are supposed to be talking about that because we are the ones running our business online. And do you see Coca-Cola going and posting their political views? Like a lot of people don't usually sit there and post their political views. Actually, I think Coca-Cola did maybe, and that's why a lot of people were
Nowadays,
taking it. Actually, I may be incorrect on that. But no, a lot of places they don't. And when they do, so for example, if Coca-Cola did, it tarnishes their business.
hmm
So there's people that don't agree with it. So whether or not I'm right or wrong on that, it doesn't matter because it still proves the point as it will destroy your business. It does not look good on you, and it's not something that you should be a part of if you're trying to portray yourself as a business online. You don't want to be a part of that stuff because everybody is allowed to have their own opinions, and whether or not you agree with it or not is up to you, and whether or not you want to continue to follow people or do whatever on social media, that's up to you. Everybody has their own opinions, so it's like, you know who really cares?
Right.
like,
Yeah.
just
You're
don't post the shit, and maybe you'll still continue to look a little bit professional, but that's just my opinion.
yeah, and it's like you're completely right though. Like that's the character. That's what you're trying to sell. Like you're growing as that character. If you want to do stuff like that, post it on your
Put
shoot
it on
page
your
with the
private.
album. Yeah.
Post that shit on your private. Nobody wants to hear about it, and if
Yeah.
they do want to hear about it, post it on the private and then let
hmm
them follow you on your private. Don't post it on your business account because not everybody wants to hear about it.
Right.
So,
And it's like people are here for this specific reason. It's like, all right, cool.
right,
Enjoy that.
right. Because they followed you for a reason. Remember that. They think that you're a wrestler because at least you're portraying yourself to be a wrestler in my face. But then when you're online, you should still portray yourself the exact same way.
Absolutely. And then this last one here. Sometimes a loss puts you over more than a win ever could.
Yes. So that would be flip. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
because
agree
like
with that.
biggest example I give is Cody Rhodes WrestleMania 39. If he had beaten Roman that first time, like you think he would have had the momentum going into that
Right.
following
Like,
2 years?
where is the care? You know, people, you need to be able to build a story up for people to care about it. If, people are just switching belts back and forth, they're just going to watch it and be like, oh, well, he's got the belt now. He's got the belt. You know what I mean? But if you put a story behind it, that's what people start getting involved in. And that's why people start paying attention because they care about the story.
Right. And it's like I'm like I like what they did there.
Yeah.
Granted, I was happy that he lost in general. I'm not biggest Cody guy, but
Fair enough. Yeah.
but let's transition to this other segment here. I call Ring Ready. You don't have on hand with you, but being in the business 9 years, obviously you've evolved and your ring gear has changed. So you want to talk through
Yes.
a lot of them?
Yeah, we'll go from newest to oldest just
Okay.
because I think you know why.
Yeah.
So my most recent gear, it's purple, red, black, and it's got silver accents. Um, that one has just been that was I got it for Japan technically
Okay.
because I was like I want to be able to look fresh in Japan. So I got that set and I got shorts made with it too, so I could interchange the pants and the shorts. Um, but yeah, that's probably my favorite set to date. And it really is just, a formation of all the last sets that I had prior. It's just slowly developed into this one. Um, but the one before that was my silver and black gear. That one I tried something different. I didn't do halter like I normally do. It was like a closed back,
Hmm.
and I was burning up. So I was like, no, I got to get my halter top back. So, but no, that was one of my favorite sets just because I really liked the silver on it, and the person who made it did a really, really good job. Um, Bruhadora
Okay.
is her name. She did a really good job. The first set I got done, that was La Lucha Lady. She's awesome too. Um, and then the set before the silver one, I had um, Sway Archer make that one. That one was a good one too. It was black, red, and white. So I kind of still like that red. That's why I've always liked red and black. They're easy colors to work with, so I've kind of kept those colors the entire time.
Hmm.
But this set, it was more of like my own like Crowley logo that I came up with that kind of looks like punkish, like thrasher for the top. Yeah, that was one of my favorite sets, I would say. Looked very, very clean. And then the one prior to that was my flame logo Crowley with red and white, kind of like McDonald's looking colors, is what everybody would say. But no, that one was one of my favorite ones just because of the, flame logo for the top. But Isaiah Velasquez, he made that one. He did a great job on that one. That one was it's probably my favorite set I've ever had.
Okay.
Um, just because of how well it was made and how well it held up. Um, but yeah, no, that one I wore that one everywhere. That one was the one I kept for a while. That one I wore on like Ring of Honor, AEW, like all kinds of places. It was right after I went to Shimmer. I think I wrestled at Shimmer with that set one time. So that was like when my first like true set of gear was
Okay.
that one. It was definitely one of my favorites. And then the one before that, the top was the exact same, but it was camo pants, and the camo pants were
Okay.
actually custom made. Those ones, they bust a hole in the crotch the first time I wore them, of course. So I had to get them fixed because the day after I had to wrestle again, so I needed them fixed. Randy West made them. She did a great job. And both the top and the pants, or yeah, the top and the pants, she made them both. But yeah, no, she did an amazing job. And those pants still, after she fixed them, um, yeah, perfect, literally perfect. I love them. So yeah, that's my favorite non-set that I've worn because I've also done like other sets where I've done like the 440 shirt with camo pants. So I went back to the camo pants, but they were blue, so I got a different set I just bought.
Okay.
But I've always liked that style, that look, the baggy pants. So yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite ones too.
Almost like a
And
Jeff
then
Hardy.
yes, I like the baggy. Um, and then my first set, that one. I think I'm going in order. Yeah. That first one. Oh Lord. It's rough. It was supposed to be my original gimmick, I was gonna be like a gypsy type thing, which is
Okay.
still kind of who I am as a person, I would, say I'm very similar to one of those. But I didn't know like what style I wanted. Like I didn't know anything about gear at this point in time. So I just doodled out a design that I thought would look good, and told her, the colors that I wanted, and she picked everything else and then sewn it all together, and it came out the way it came out. And it was Randy who made it too. I'm not saying it was a bad set because it was not a bad set. The actual material and everything was really, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that set, it was probably one of the rough ones.
It
One
just
of the
wasn't
most,
you.
if not the most rough one I had. But yeah, not because of the quality though, just because of the style, and it did not match me at all, literally at all. Um, but yeah, no, we got there eventually. We got there.
And
The
now you're here, right?
transformation is crazy.
Right. Love that. And it's like it's only going up from here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Only 23, like still very young, long.
yes.
career ahead of you.
Yes.
So, for before I let you go, for those who don't already, where can people follow you on social media and keep up with your story?
Instagram is Alice underscore Crowley underscore. Twitter is Alice Crowley 19. Facebook is Alice Crowley. And then I have a merch website. It's alicecrowleymerch.bigcartel.com.
I got you. Love it. And what can people expect next from you? Um,
I don't know. Y'all just gonna have to find out because I be bouncing everywhere. I don't even know what's next for me, but we're gonna see. Life just be throwing things at me, you know?
I love it. Well, you've heard it first. Go ahead and follow Alice. Keep up with her career, and she'll definitely keep you on your toes because
Yes.
she doesn't seem to know what's next.
Yeah. We're gonna be in Vegas. I know that.
There you go.
So
WrestleCon, WrestleMania weekend.
yes, so I mean I'll probably get into some business in Vegas. We'll see.
Love that. Well, Alice, I appreciate you. Loved hearing your story, and looking forward to keeping up with you.
Cool. Thank you so much. It was nice to be
Absolutely,
on. Thank you for
uh,
having me.
absolutely. We'll do this again. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. Let the interviews continue on, and hope the career goes well in 2026.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.